Hey, it's Julian Gordon here, and welcome back to the Build Momentum 28-Day Challenge. Today, I want to talk about how to invest in the people who matter to you the most. A lot of times we can take relationships for granted, especially when people are around us often, or we just expect that the longevity of the relationship is going to be what actually sustains the relationship. And I'm inviting you all to be a little bit more intentional about the people who actually matter to you the most and find ways to invest in that relationship, to actually put time and energy into that relationship this year and be intentional about it as opposed to just waiting for it to happen by chance. A lot of friendships are built out of happenstance and chance, and that's okay. That's a good thing that people come to our lives organically in that way. But once the relationship is there, to really take that relationship to another level, we actually have to get out of just convenience-based relationships into actually commitment-based relationships. You actually know the difference between a convenient relationship and an inconvenient relationship or a commitment-based relationship when you actually are asked to do something inconvenient for that person needs you to help them move, right? All of a sudden you're having second thoughts about the entire friendship because you see yourself spending your Saturday lifting furniture when that's not what you wanted to do. Or somebody gets a flat tire and you have second thoughts about whether or not you actually want to go out at 2 a.m. and help that person with that flat tire, right? That's where relationships, friendships, or romantic relationships are really tested in those inconvenient moments, not in the convenient moments. And so I want to share with you some of the people that I'm investing in this year. I'm very fortunate that I have a client that is out in LA that brings me out there 6 times a year. And my best friend happens to live there. He went to Loyola and I went to UCLA. So we went from Oakland together to being pretty much at the closest two schools in LA possible. So I saw him often there, but then I moved to New York. Actually, I moved up to the back of the Bay Area and then to New York. And if it weren't for this client, I would have to figure out how to creatively figure out how we're going to get together more often, right? In order to actually be invested in that relationship. And on top of that, he doesn't like to fly. And so I would have to say, you know what? Once a year, I'm going out to see him. Not because I have a client out there, not because this is happening, but because I want to see him, period. And so I'm asking you, when is the last time you've actually flown somewhere just to see a friend just because? Right? Just because. No particular reason. You weren't just stopping by, but you actually went out there to see them. All right? And I know people are at different stages of their own lives. Some people might be dating and they're living with somebody and it may not be as convenient, or they may have a newborn. But if we really want these relationships to last and go deeper, it's really important that we figure out how we intentionally invest in them. So I'll give you another example. I have another friend who lives in LA, and so we like to connect over food. And so you see, I have a few dinners here. Then I have another friend who's a mentor who is actually out at Wake Forest, and he works there. And he comes to New York often to see his daughters, and how we tend to connect is through breakfast when he's in town. And so I'll go up to Manhattan to meet him up there. So for each of the relationships that you have, there's different modalities or different ways that you might connect. You might like to connect with somebody over golf. You might like to connect with somebody over basketball. You might like to connect with somebody over college football, right? You might like to connect with somebody in terms of going out to parties or to shows or to concerts, right? But you don't have to trap yourself in the way that you typically connect. You can also try to stretch the relationship and push yourself in some vulnerable spaces, like we're going camping instead of to a party, right? That's going to create new circumstances and new opportunities for you to deepen that relationship. I have friends who are here in Brooklyn where we like to connect over lunch or brunch. And then I have my parents who are in the Bay Area, and I actually have to commit to go seeing them, right? I don't have that many clients in the Bay Area, so I don't go there often. Sometimes when I go to LA, I'll try to swing up there, but I actually have to be intentional about seeing my parents, my family. Sometimes we go a year or two without even seeing the people that we love the most, right? The people who gave birth to us, the people who raised us. And then my brother, he's here in Brooklyn, and literally he's a 10-minute drive away, but because of his late night work schedule, and I don't get to see him as much as I should. So I want to be, right, more intentional about that relationship in this year, making sure that he figures out how to come to holidays, how to adjust his work schedule to make sure that he can be at the Thanksgiving dinner that's at the house, at the Christmas dinner. But even beyond that, just come see me and see his niece, right? And then a lot of ways I like to connect. As you know, I love breaking bread with people. So as you can see, a lot of it is over food. And so from there, you think about the frequency that you want these things to occur with these various people. And I think I've given you space for about 30 people on the 2 pages. But this is how you start to create your social experiences for the year. You think about the people you want to pour into, the people who you want to be in your realm. And some of these people might be in your mastermind group. Some of them might not be, right? Like my mentors might or might not be in my mastermind group. My parents aren't in my mastermind group. And then I have new friends who may not be ready for that space. They may not be business owners, but I still care about them and I want to deepen my relationship with them. So you figure out the modality and how you want to connect, and you figure out the frequency. But the most important thing is figuring out who you actually want to invest in this upcoming year. And once you do that, the rest will start to unfold. And I really encourage you to knock down your first domino, which is to start sending invitations to these people for these various things. Buy that plane ticket to go see your parents, surprise them, and by showing up on a day that's not a holiday, just to say hello. Sneak up on them on their birthday, right? Sneak up on your best friend when they least expect it. That's what's going to show that this isn't a relationship based on convenience. It's actually a relationship based on commitment, and a relationship that's going to go with me to the grave. All right? So I hope this is helpful. It's really putting the people that you care about and love the most first. And I encourage you to send out some of those invitations right away. All right? Peace.